Just begin by adjusting your posture, but again reminding yourself that there's no such thing as a meditation posture. In fact, we can even leave the word meditation out of the equation, out of the practice. It's really a practice in awareness, in self awareness. And so we use this hour to practice this self awareness, to step outside of that personality called whatever our names are, and into something so much more than who we believe ourselves to be. One of my teachers once said, we are three people. The person we believe ourselves to be. That can be the body, it can be those toys and homes and awards and qualifications and gender and sexuality and all of that which we've accumulated. And then the second part, he says, you sometimes believe yourself to be the one others think you are. You see yourself through the eyes of those around you, whether it's family members or those who adore you or dislike you. And he says those are not who you truly are. It is the third part. Who you truly, truly are, that's who you are. Which is beyond the body, which is beyond the mind, which is beyond the definitions that we give ourselves and those around us give us. Let's contemplate on this, which will form the core of our practice. How do we access this larger part, this true self? How do we become aware of this self? How do we achieve self-awareness? I'm sure there are many, many different paths. None of them are wrong. Let's experiment with one of those. One which many teachers such as Eckhart Tolle and John Kabat-Zinn speak of, and that is by being here now more completely, more fully. Through practice, we will find ourselves spending more moments in this only moment called the present moment. And as we anchor, as we touch down into this present moment, we begin developing the ability to distinguish this moment from the past. We begin developing the ability to distinguish this moment from the future. We begin developing the ability to no longer compare this moment against any standard. We begin developing the ability to see the perfection of this moment. What can you identify about this present moment that you like? You have a good degree of privacy. It doesn't matter whether you own this room or this property within which you're practicing. You're here. You have access to this space. That's a beautiful thing. You're connecting with like-minded beings. Each and every one of us contributing, assisting, supporting each other in this practice. Because as you've probably noticed, the mind is fickle. We've spent our whole lifetime identifying ourselves as the mind. And more often than not, the mind takes us into the past and the future. But as we practice in this group, as we practice together, should my mind wander away, I know there are many of you who are present who will bring me back into the present moment. And there will be moments when your mind wanders and the rest of us will bring you back. Such is the support which we receive in such a group. And we feel gratitude. I hope you're physically comfortable. But if you're joining in a practice such as this, you can be assured that there is more right with your body than wrong. You have a degree of hearing that allows you to follow in the guidance. And even if you do not, the whole purpose of the guidance, the words, they are simply there to direct you into the silence. That space, those gaps in between the words, that silence behind every sound. So you don't even need your sense of hearing. You may even choose to mute your speakers, just knowing that that you're here. I'm going to ring the first bell in today's practice. Try landing a little bit more into your chair, into your cushions, your seats, recognizing the space that appears between your true self, which is here and now, and the mind, which creates time and exists within that stream called time. Being present, don't think about it too much. Just experience it. It takes the form of the sounds that you can hear, all of them, all of them. Sounds from within your body, the sound of your breath, the sound of your heartbeat, perhaps your pulse, the sound of the ticking clock on the wall, the sounds of the birds outside your window, or the traffic, or the helicopters, or the planes hovering above. The very fact that your eyelids might be shut, but that you are awake, alert to sounds, to sensations of temperature, of smells and the absence of smells and aftertastes and everything else that represents the present moment, which includes your thoughts. Because we're not going to pretend that the mind doesn't exist. It's a very large part of our experience. And most of us here, we will be forgiven for sometimes seeing the mind as an enemy. Because we've read those books that refer to the ego as something that needs to be crushed. The need to move beyond the personality that thinks about itself and considers others. But I'd like you, with the ringing of the next bell, to release all of those beliefs and simply call upon your mind, recognizing it to be the friend that it was meant to be. You thank the mind for bringing you into groups such as this. A moment ago, we were talking about how the internet has helped us connect and learn languages, be part of book clubs, creative writing groups that are nourishing and serving us. It is the mind that directed us, that researched, that analyzed, that found all of these gifts, including the learning of this technology, the understanding of this technology and its application in nourishing ways such as this. And we appreciate the mind. Can you notice how I refer to the mind as a separate entity? Because as we tap into the present moment, as we tap into our true selves, consciousness, awareness, whatever you would like to label it as, the labels are unimportant. You step outside of the mind, almost as though you were stepping out of a car, observing it from the outside, recognizing the mind as a tool. Just like a car, used recklessly, it can cause great harm. Used properly, it can transport us to wonderful places. It can take the sick to hospitals. Recognize the mind to be such a tool, which from this point onwards we will begin using just as we are using it right now to translate these sounds emanating through my vocal cords. It is because of the mind and its knowledge of this language called the English language that it gives meaning to every word that I speak. With the ringing of the next bell, please try to remind yourself now that you are the teacher, for it is you who is giving meaning to these vibrating air molecules, which have no intrinsic meaning of their own. It is that teacher, that guide, that facilitator within you, your true self, that is filtering these sounds and guiding you here, now. Bring into your mind's eye a teacher who has meant a lot to you. It could be the Buddha or Jesus if you're from one of the main belief systems, or really any other teacher. And then recognize that they simply either wrote words, created forms, made sounds through their lips, which you have been giving meaning to. Recognizing the true self, the one teacher who has never been separate from who you believed yourself to be. With the ringing of the next bell, see your form merge into this teacher, if there is such a form, or a book, or something that symbolizes that which is highest to you. See yourself merging into this form, becoming one. Time dissolving as you step outside of the mind and the thought stream. Let us bring into our mind's eye, let us now use a metaphor that will bring a touch of playfulness to this practice. One that we have used many times before, but one that constantly and consistently adapts itself to the present moment and our needs at this moment, which has changed from last week and the week before that and the months before that. Into your mind's eye, see the stream, the thought stream. Let's all begin at the same place, shall we? One of those moments where we were completely identified with the mind. And so long as we inhabit these physical forms, there will be stories and circumstances that sometimes lead us back into the stream, into this identification. Sometimes it's the people closest to us who know exactly which buttons to push. Sometimes it comes in the form of finances, sometimes relationships, sometimes health. One of those moments completely identified with the mind, and it may even be this moment where you are having a rather turbulent experience, sitting here in this serenity, in this peace, and this stillness, yet being carried away by the streams of thought. Just visualize yourself in the stream, being carried by the waters. First of all, what's the stream look like? Is it a rapid, or is it flowing quite slowly? Usually if it's an uncomfortable story where there's frustration, fear, anger, maybe a tinge of sadness, there are muscles within the body that may feel tight and tense. That may be kicking, punching, waving the arms about and the legs about, water splashing all over, blinding us, droplets of water suffocating, blocking our nose, giving us the illusion that we're in much deeper waters. Are we all here? Well, whether or not we're here, we've all been there, haven't we? And as a beginner, as we invoke the beginner's mind with the ringing of this bell, give yourself permission to be identified with the mind. Release all those notions that I should know better, that I've been a meditator for 10 or 20 years. I should not be identified with the mind. Release all of that and give yourself permission to be identified with the mind. This rapids or the stream carrying you. Now, the practice always begins by simply trying to recognize that I'm separate from the stream. And you can simply do that by outlining your form, using your skin, your sense of touch as your doorway into the present moment. And in our case, the way in which our bodies are interacting with our seats, how our skin is interacting with the breeze around us, if we have a fan or air conditioning unit or an open window, how the skin is interacting with the fabric of clothing that's wrapped around us. And in the stream, it will take the form of feeling the water brushing against the skin, supporting our bodies, carrying us. But there's still a lot of tension, fear, anxiety. It always translates into the body. You know that because when you feel nervous, you feel butterflies in the stomach. You might grind your teeth. Your heartbeat and rate increases. When I ring the next bell, just relax your muscles. Just let the water carry you. Surrender your body to the forces of gravity. And it's possible because when I was a Boy Scout, they got us to sit in rapids and just let the water carry us. And somehow the water would take us through the smoothest rocks. We had to do nothing, no effort, no resistance. If you struggled, you might hit yourself somewhere. But if you simply loosened your joints and your muscles, the water just carried you to your destination, where somebody would be waiting to receive you. And it was a very enjoyable experience. I'm going to ring the bell again just so that you can relax your bodies a little bit more. Any remaining pockets of tension or tightness that may still be there, as you surrender yourself to the present moment, nothing to do. And one thing you're going to notice as you give into the thought stream, as you allow the thought stream to carry you, is that you reach your destination, wherever it is, so much faster, so much less painfully, no struggle. You start moving so much quicker. But through your skin, you've started to separate yourself from the stream. But yet you are a part of the stream. And this is another stage of the practice. Letting the momentum carry you. And so sometimes, of course, you feel sad. You feel alone. You feel angry. But you allow. Which doesn't necessarily mean act upon it, but simply experience it within your body. How the thought translates the present moment into an emotion, which is simply the releasing of certain chemicals within the body, experiencing the disappointment or the anger or whatever it is. But you don't need to act, you don't need to react, simply because there is a gap, space between the true self, the witness, and the mind, and the body that is experiencing the emotions. So let the stream carry you. Release judgments, because the judgments that I shouldn't be angry, I shouldn't be sad, boys don't cry, all of that, they're a part of the stream. Allow. And then comes the next stage in the practice. where hours pass, days, days turn into weeks, where you're practicing, you're observing, or you're going with this flow, you're being carried by the flow. But because you're no longer kicking and punching, you're no longer struggling, you have a much better vision. You have the ability to breathe comfortably and take a deep breath in to celebrate the fact that there are no water droplets blocking your breathing process. Breathe in deeply, enjoy the breath, appreciate the breath, your ability to breathe deeply as opposed to in a very shallow way when you're afraid. And you discover as you look around you a whole world beyond the banks of the stream. One that seems so unfamiliar, for you have existed within this stream for a very long time, perhaps your whole life in this form. And it occurs to you that you may wish to explore that space, but first you must stop. And it is when that intention to stop rises, you begin to look around you and discover that there are many anchors that you could hold on to. There are branches, there are rocks, there are roots sticking out from the banks. With the ringing of the next bell, reach out for one of these and stop. The world looks so different when you stop. When you discover that it is the stream that is now brushing against you, this root that you are holding on to, it allows you to plant your feet steadily into the ground underneath you. Still in the stream, you stabilize yourself. You have discovered a practice, a practice that is helping you to ground and anchor yourself, to stabilize yourself. And because you're still in the stream, you will notice yourself to be in some sort of a hurry, as though you need to proceed quickly, as though things need to be done fast. But as you rise, as you stand, You pull yourself up. You rise above the stream. You smile as you discover that the stream barely reaches your knees. It was a shallow stream. It seemed so much deeper a few moments ago when you existed in time, when you were carried, especially with the kicking and punching and the struggling. But as you rise above time, as you rise above the mind, you are no longer in a hurry. You are no longer comparing yourself to your teachers or what the books say that you need to be enlightened or be beyond anger and sadness. You release all of that as you rise into the present moment, stabilizing, taking deep breaths in. Now, with the ability to look beyond the banks of the stream onto a world you had never imagined possible, from within the confines of the stream, there are fields that do not seem to end. Flowers of many colors, some familiar, most unfamiliar. Trees that rise into the hills, that rise into mountains. Peaks that are covered in mist, some even snow-capped. You take it all in. This new space, this new relationship that you have only just started to develop with this stream, this thought stream. It's time, or rather the moment has arrived, to step outside of the stream. And we've all done that. We've all done that. And now we simply remind ourselves how to. And it's not something you think about. Because when you begin thinking about whether or not you should leave the stream will convince you to stay, for it has supported you. You do not need to strengthen your muscles because the water, it supports your body, it weakens your muscles. There is so much within the stream that you are familiar with. The patterns, the habits, the old ways of doing things, the old ways of reacting, that chatter within the mind that recycles words over and over again. Words from our parents, our schools, the magazines and television programs that we've watched and read. We've started thinking. Have you noticed? But with the ringing of the next bell, be present, be here, be now, and climb out of the stream. No thinking required. And you find yourselves on the banks of the stream. There is soft grass underneath your feet, which feel so much more different than the little pebbles that somehow did not feel as soft and comfortable as this grass with its warmth and the way in which it supports your whole weight and body. Balance yourself, stabilize yourself, feel the warmth of the sun upon your skin, drying your clothes, taking in the vast amount of space around you, stepping from one world which was incredibly confined between two thin banks of the stream. Remember, it was a stream, it's always been a stream. But now, here into this space, but because of how close you are to the stream, you're going to find yourself slipping back. It's very slippery. And the water carries you again. But having stepped outside of the stream, having reflected, having remembered our ability to step up and out of the stream, we effortlessly bring ourselves back into the present moment. But this time, taking steps away from the stream. 1, 2, 3, a fourth step and a fifth. Mindful of the grass underneath our feet. Mindful of the droplets of memories and imprints evaporating as the warmth of the sun dries the clothing and the skin. And with the ringing of the next bell, give yourself permission to change your posture, to stretch, to move, and almost as though you are planting yourself into the posture that you are now about to take. And so you find yourself sitting or lying down exactly as you are right now. And this is one of the final parts of the practice, stabilizing, anchoring ourselves here, aware of the flow of the stream through its sounds. Quite frequently, you may choose to glance back at the stream when you learn your languages, when you learn about technology, when you need to find words to express certain inspirations or ideas. But you recognize the space, and then you discover, you explore the various tools that will help you to stay here, now, a little more consistently. Let's just use the breath, shall we? Initially, just not forcing anything, not changing anything, just becoming more aware of your breath than a moment ago, more aware of the temperature of the air flowing in, which perhaps reflects the room that you're in, more aware of the temperature of the breath as it flows out, more reflective of your body's temperature, humidity levels, in, out. Notice how each breath is unfolding in the present moment, which makes it a precious, precious tool with which to anchor ourselves. These 5, 6, or however many steps away from the stream we may be. And because of this distance that has appeared, because of this space that has appeared, you now have the ability to focus on which parts of the stream that serve you, whilst releasing those that do not. Those critical thoughts about that you had about yourself, Those critical thoughts that you had about the people around, that we have about the people around us, released. Focusing on those that matter. Now, it's these droplets in the stream that are allowing us to experience and understand humidity and warmth and direction and the nasal passage and the location of the nose and the location of the windpipe within the throat and the lungs that brush against the rib cage as we breathe in, the whole chest rising and falling. We find the stomach because there are droplets in the stream that help us to identify where the stomach is. How the stomach wall rises as we breathe in and falls as we breathe out. Releasing the conversations, releasing the past, which includes the last breath, which includes the last 100 breaths. Are you beginning to see how the mind was always meant to be a tool with which to translate the present moment? Notice our ability to now know this as we simply sit, breathe, witness in self awareness as we hear the final bell. Final only because it means the end of our formal practice in this virtual meditation room. A beginning, a true beginning, as we bring this awareness to the conversations that will unfold, the food that we will taste, every step that we take, every word that we speak in awareness. From moment to moment and breath to breath. Thank you so much for joining me in this practice. So grateful as always. have to thank me. Thank you. Take care. Take care, everybody. And hello, Janice. Noticed you here as well.
Thank you very much, Peanut.
It's a pleasure.
That's beautiful.
So I'm going to have a bit of a pause for this month, but I'll be back in September, and it should be on a Friday or Saturday, because those are the days we don't have retreats. But I'll keep you posted. Okay.
Very
Right.
Thank you.
Take care. Love to you guys.
See you.
Bye bye. Bye, Michelle. Bye, Julie. Bye, Frank. Bye, Janice.